My spirit animal is my cat. Others might say, I feel a deep spiritual connection with the cactus, but I'm not interested in any of that. What I want to know is, Alex, what is your spirit Pokemon? So, Alex, what is your spirit animal? The people want to know. I want to know.
Okay, this is like a loaded question, right? Because like spirit animal, okay? Like, are we talking about like, I don't know, a goofy Pokemon that kind of has some similar habits as me? Are we looking at a Pokemon that kind of embodies some traits of mine, which I think is what we have determined, right? And it's hard because, I feel like some people have a very prominent characteristics, right? There are people in maybe like somebody we were just talking about, very specific traits, louder Pokemon, energetic Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there are people like Joe who come on here who even though they're very complex, they have very specific traits such as like his intelligence, right? Mm-hmm. That are so dominating in terms of like he's very put together and controlled.
Yep.
That it's very easy to find something to relate to. But I feel like I'm a little bit more nuanced and complex in like I feel like it being quieter and not having like an intelligent factor that would be like the more dominant one. Like, what is my main character trait? So it's like what would you say?
Well, okay, so are we talking about stats or traits?
Okay, just general characteristics. Because I guess for stats, I think I know where you would go for where my stats would be. But where would you say...
Defense, HP, bulk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what would you say, though, characteristics?
Yeah, okay. Okay, throwing it back on me. Okay, I like this. I would say protective.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
I would say protective.
Sure.
Not so much intelligence, although I think you're very smart, but more of the wisdom.
Right.
The observation.
Right.
When we used to play football.
Yeah.
You were the ball.
Always defense.
Yeah, you were the defense.
Yeah. I agree.
You need that.
Nothing you said is incorrect to me. And it's like, this is why I struggled with this, because I was like, okay, what Pokemon would I go with? Much like me asking you now, I agree with everything you stated. And again, we're focusing on positives here, I assume. There's no point bringing out like any negative traits, unless that's really a defining feature of us. We're all flawed humans.
Yeah.
We all have issues and things that part of the complexity is these negatives.
Some people are little scraggies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong
Scraggy's
with it.
cool.
Great Pokemon.
Yeah,
Scrafty's
awesome.
much better.
He is.
Yeah.
He's cool. And I was kind of Googling around, reading Bulbapedia, reading Dex entries and like the biology thing to kind of get an idea of their personality. And the Pokemon I ended up going with, which I don't really have a connection to this, but it was just based on this, was Lucario.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, which is really weird because I don't love Lucario.
That's okay.
But the reason being...
Yeah, tell me why.
Is he is like emotionally aware of other people's emotions,
Yep.
which I feel like is true to just the way my brain works.
Yep.
He has like a really strong sense of justice. He's like competitive. He likes competition, and he goes and retreats up to his mountain to train, which is I feel like what I do. Just my introverted self. I wanted a Pokemon with some introverted tendencies.
Okay, nice, Alex.
What else was there?
The steel, I mentioned like the protection and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the foundation, if you will.
Yes.
I feel like the steel typing
Yes.
makes sense for that.
And then and I wanted some level of like psychicness just because of like, I guess what you were saying with the wisdom, that's like really intuitiveness and this ability to see like this bigger picture and without necessarily requiring the data. Yeah. So that's kind of what I went with. And I was like, isn't a Pokemon I love. He's cool.
Yeah.
He's in Smash, which makes it even better. But I just, that was the Pokemon.
That checks out.
There were a lot of Pokemon I loved that I wanted to, like Pikachu and Psyduck. Psyduck was a big one I was trying to fit. Yeah. And I was just like, like I have headaches and stuff, and he has that kind of psychic mystic factor as well.
Headaches.
But I'm like, if I had been like a pro swimmer in high school or something,
Yeah.
easy. Golduck's like one of the
Golduck.
fastest swimmers, right?
Yeah. Also psychic type.
Well, he's just water, pure
he's just
water.
water, yeah.
But he has that mystic factor with the psychic.
He has Zen
right?
headbutt and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He's
fuck,
like
it's true.
Lucario. He's not a psychic, but he's kind of almost a psychic.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, and I was just going through and I mentioned Dragonite, but I feel like to be a dragon, you have to be like, you got to be something special. Like you're like at least a local celebrity type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You got that special factor.
Yeah, yeah, like you all the things you mentioned, but you're also like an A-list celebrity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You got to have something.
Yep.
Even if you like, you're a successful streamer or you're a successful YouTuber.
Yeah.
Then you can be a dragon.
You need
If
to be a
don't get
person
that-
of note.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to be a person
You
of
don't
note.
get that typing without some special.
Yeah, most people are Psyducks.
I wish I could be a Pangoro. I wish I could be some badass like panda dad guy. I'm not a dark type. I'm likely not a dark type. So yeah, Lucario was what I went with, and
I like it.
it's different.
I like it, man. Not what I wasn't expecting anything, but
No.
that wasn't what I was expecting.
Everything you listed was correct too. So it's like I should be somebody with higher, like more of a wall type Pokemon, but I didn't. There was none that like
I think the steel's enough.
the steel's
The
enough.
steel is enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like it, Alex. Well,
Weird.
okay. So, do you want to hear mine?
I sure do.
So the spirit Pokemon that I chose.
Yeah.
Do you have a guess?
No, I don't know.
That's okay. I went with Medicham.
Medicham.
And you want to know
Psychic
why?
fighting.
Psychic fighting. You want to know why?
Why?
Okay, so Medicham, obviously he's known for meditating.
Yeah.
I don't meditate, but I do yoga.
Yes.
Almost every day.
Right.
Which is kind of halfway
Yes.
to the meditation.
I see it.
Also, you're working on your body.
Right.
Very important
Yes.
for a fighting type Pokemon.
Right.
I'm always up for a fight too if I'm challenged.
Yeah.
Extremely competitive.
Yes.
For example, the other weekend we went to a football game, Halifax Wanderers.
I heard all about this.
Yeah, you probably did. I was feeling great, loving life. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to a football game with my friends. Football, meaning soccer, and I'm acting like I'm not from Canada. And a very zen-like place, and then out of nowhere, the fucking challenge arises, and I have to fucking get in a fight to stick up for my friends. Man, I feel like a Medicham. I felt like a Medicham that day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Medicham.
Yep.
I did. I never would have guessed, but very interesting.
Yeah. I have a inflated sense of my own self, so who the fuck knows?
Okay. Theoretically, as Lucario, it would be close combat, obviously.
Gotta have it.
Meteor Mash, because that's
Yep.
a sick goddamn move.
One of the probably the best steel type moves.
Yeah, sick. Another steel move, Bullet Punch.
Yeah, Bullet Punch.
Just because I love priority moves.
I
dude.
love priority moves also.
Oh man, they're so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I try every competitive team I've made. I tried to have at least one decent priority.
You want to have
move,
at least one.
if not more.
You never know when you're gonna just need that
Last little hit.
Yeah, someone's got like 10% HP. You just gotta get in
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
And final move would be God, what was it? Ice Punch as well.
Yeah. Flyers.
Flyers, dragons.
Yeah,
You gotta,
exactly.
just in case.
Fighting has that flying weakness, so you gotta have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, wait, you can do both our Pokemon Mega Evolve too? Does yours-
Medicham does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty
Lucario
sick,
does
too.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about Megas later.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
so
would be
Mega Medicham, Mega Lucario is fucking beastly.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Beastly double team.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, that's really not what I would have thought. Anything what do you think any of my friends would be? Really quick.
Well, I think Joe, because we have to do Joe.
Yeah.
Because he's JoyCircuit through and through.
What do you think he'd be?
Fuck, man, I don't know. You gotta help me out. What do you think? Special attacker, for sure.
Yeah.
Although Joe's pretty physically, he's always been like
He's
physically
pretty decent,
fit
too.
person. Maybe Joe's Medicham. Fuck, maybe Joe's Medicham.
No. Joe isn't so much for the emotions.
No.
So
Yeah, exactly. Meditating is not necessarily about emotions. Actually, it's just about observing everything as it is without any emotion,
True.
without attaching too much to it at all. So maybe, but no.
I would say he's more like Metagross or something or like Alakazam. Joe could really be Mewtwo, honestly. Joe wants to be.
Joe wants power, ultimate
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
I don't think Alakazam too feeble.
Fair.
He gets one shot at too often.
True.
Mewtwo's a good call.
Joe's Mewtwo.
Joe is
There we go.
Mewtwo, the best, strongest Pokemon, like still to this day. Pretty
Yeah.
much. Yep.
Yeah, Joe actually could be Mewtwo.
All right, Joe, you're Mewtwo, man.
You got lucky.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's great. Holy fuck. Yeah, I don't know. Brandon's Charmander. There you go.
Yeah.
You ready to do this?
Ready to do it.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, so the bulk of the episode will be going gen by gen, and at the end, we're going to rank it all. And then at the end, we'll talk about kind of the state of Pokemon now.
Yeah, I have some things to say.
I have a lot of things to say about
Yeah.
that. So that'll be the bonus round at the end.
Okay.
Are you ready to get into it?
Ready.
Okay, Generation 1. Red, green, blue, and yellow. We've already done a whole episode of Red and Blue, so we don't want to repeat ourselves too much.
Yeah.
You can check out that episode. We had Pokemon Monsters Red and Green, and then not even a year later, they released Blue, which was an enhanced version. In territories outside of Japan, Pokemon Yellow was the last video game release for the original Game Boy. And I found this interesting in my research. For the 20th anniversary re-release on 3DS, it appears as a Game Boy Color game. So it'll say when you go to 3DS,
Game Boy
look
Color.
at it, it's the Game Boy Color.
Nice.
Red and Blue I have on there on my 3DS as well. It says Game Boy.
Huh.
So is Pokemon Yellow a Game Boy game or is it a Game Boy Color game? I know the box art says Game Boy. But the 3DS Virtual Store, which you can no longer buy this for if you
Yeah.
missed, says it's a Game Boy Color game.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Both.
But it's true. I mean, you would get color.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Breath of the Wild, right? Is it a Wii U game or is it a Switch game?
It's a Switch game. No one played it on Wii U except Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe's the only one.
Literally.
The only person.
Honestly, I'm sure that card's probably going to be worth something one day. The disc.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, there's so few made, I assume. I can't imagine there are many.
Well, yeah, there's
copies.
only one made. Joe's the only one.
Better get it from Joe.
I know, man. Fucking Joe. See? Mewtwo. Totally
Me too.
Mewtwo fucking vibes.
An Enigma.
An Enigma, absolutely. Region, story, gameplay, Pokedex.
Effective.
Absolutely. I feel like everything in this generation, like even the just the multiple versions and sort of iterating on themselves. If you're cynical, you could say, "Oh, they just want to make more money."
Yeah.
True, that's absolutely part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But Pokemon Yellow is a better game than Red and Blue, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean I love it more? I don't know. I have very fond memories of Red and Blue.
Yeah.
I also have fond memories of Yellow. But having replayed both of them in the last 10 years, I would probably say, yeah, Yellow is a better game. They did improve it. I mean, it's literally a Game Boy Color game without being a Game Boy Color game. But I think what I mean to say is like the foundation laid in Gen 1
Right.
was a very strong one. And they've never really...
Incredibly.
I mean, honestly, they haven't changed it that much. We're getting to the time now
Until
where they're
recently,
changing it the most.
Yes.
Which everyone wanted, and now I don't know. We'll talk about that later.
That's
It's kind of the hang up.
yeah.
But yeah, iconic. The Pokedex, of course, 151. The original will always be, most people's favorite.
Yep.
Yeah, just a true classic. Like, yeah, there's not really much more we can say about this one that we haven't already said in our.
And I mean,
in
I'll say
in our episode.
I guess when we go through the list, maybe I'll have a little bit more to say
Yeah.
about why I place them where.
Yeah.
Because I do have some stuff to say, but I don't want to give away any positionings till we get to the.
Well, we can say where we rank this
Oh, can we?
right now. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go through it again later.
Okay.
We don't have to get into why. We can talk about that later.
Okay. Where'd
yeah.
you rank it? I'm gonna guess you ranked it number 2.
Oh shit! I wrote her. Alex, correct.
Yeah,
They're ranked at number
figured.
2.
I know what number 1 is.
Yeah.
I think maybe
Do you?
not. Actually,
I don't
may
know.
not.
I
actually may
thought I
not.
knew too before today.
Actually, I'm stuck between 2 for you.
The thing is, because it's all of the generations,
Yeah.
it changed things for me.
Right.
If it was just red and blue,
Yeah.
it would be number 1 or 2 probably.
Right.
But since it's red, blue, and yellow,
right.
and like the other generations, yeah, there's more going on in this fucking brain of mine. Okay, so where'd you rank
It's
it?
number 1.
Number
for
1.
me,
Yeah.
Number 1. Because it's just honestly, it's hard to take these games
Yep.
out of context with the time.
We
This
were,
was-
we were 10.
We were 10.
Yeah.
We were the age that Ash was.
Yep.
The cartoon came out pretty much just after the games.
Yep.
Me and again, we have the story. Me and Bilo and Dill were hyped before this.
Yep.
It came out. We were super invested. Everybody was playing this. Everybody had the cards. The anime was huge. Pokemon was everywhere. It
Yep.
was a thing. This laid the foundation of an amazing JRPG genre, effectively, that continues to this day. The Pokemon designs were beautiful and perfect.
Perfect.
Some would say. The only thing missing, I guess, was more of an in-depth story. But I mean, that was
we've
point
been
of it.
waiting 30 years. It's still fucking
True.
for an in-depth story.
True.
You know?
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the characters honestly were pretty great and memorable. Like
Gym leaders.
the music is still amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I love it. It's as close to a perfect game as you can get for me.
Yep.
In its time. And it's like, you obviously when you look at rankings of anything and you're going back, well, obviously it's not the same quality as, say, I don't know, like a later game that people love, like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon or something that
Yeah.
people seem to really love.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously it's not that quality because it's fucking was made 20 years prior.
Yeah.
But it's for its time.
For us, for our generation of Pokemon trainers,
Yeah.
yeah, it's never probably not going to be outside of the top 2
Yeah.
for us. you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's spot on. Yeah, just completely iconic.
Yep.
Fucking love it. Were other games technically better?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
You know, probably Gen 2.
Probably
you
Gen
could,
2.
is the one where you say is like theoretically is better in
It's
every
just
way.
a clear upgrade, essentially.
Yeah, clear upgrade. Yeah, like clear clear progression. Okay, so those are our thoughts on Gen 1.
Yes.
We'll get more into it later on, but like I said, we've done a whole episode on this. Go check it out. So Gen 2.
Yeah.
Now this is where I think of course, this is where the formula became a formula, I guess,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So Gen 2, of course, we're talking about Pokemon Gold, Silver, and then later Crystal. So, released on November 21st, 1999 in Japan and October 15th, 2000 in North America. This would be Gold and Silver we're talking about. I remember October 15th, 2000, particularly because this was the first time I was probably like, this is the first time I can remember being actively hyped for a game's release. Before then, I don't think I really thought of it in those terms.
Right.
And one more thing I want to say about Red and Blue is that it's the reason I'm a gamer. It's probably the reason I'm doing a podcast right now.
Wow.
Because before then I liked video games, but I wasn't a gamer kid. Pokemon was the thing that made me become a gamer.
Right.
So it's like infinitely more meaningful to me.
Right.
Like for that reason. Like I feel like I owe it a whole lifetime of gaming, and like particularly JRPGs, just being a huge fan of Japanese role-playing games,
Right.
always will probably be my favorite genre no matter what. And it starts with Pokemon for me. They got me at the right time. They got me hooked, just like drugs. But yeah, so October 15, 2000, I remember being very hyped. I remember I convinced my mom to pre-order it somehow. I don't even know that I had a Game Boy Color. I don't really exactly remember the first time I played this game, but I remember needing to have it when it came out.
Right.
And I can't really remember the rest of the details. What about you? Walk me through. Do you remember the hype cycle for this game?
So I do.
At all?
I remember getting a gaming magazine and it showing from the Japanese version, like the first, like, you know how you get them and the pages would have like the map of the first town, like the first route, and it would give little details and stuff in the gaming magazines, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, this looks so amazing!"
Yeah.
And I remember getting it when it came out, but I will say it has a very different vibe. I'll say Gen 1 for me felt very like exciting, and we're going, and it's like there's a lot happening, and you're like Team Rocket's there, and you're fighting the bad guys, and like you're getting the badges and going there. It just felt very like pushing forward. And this game felt it had a vibe, a more mellow kind of vibe to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I don't know if that synced with me a lot when I was that age. Now looking back, I'm like, it's a very beautiful game.
Yep.
It the way it contrasts like the designs and the, I guess, story between Gen 1 and Gen 2 with the more modern, we've talked about this before, but the more like human focused, human controlled, modern style of Kanto versus the
Like the
more,
power plant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Versus the more nature oriented Johto.
Honestly, it even gets more into like mythology with Lugia, the burnt tower, the sacred, like the legendary dogs.
It's very natural feeling, and it's more somber. I feel almost like it's more. A lot of the music is very like chill and calm. It's it at the time
Unknown.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
the unknown. There's a bit more of a mysticism to it.
Yes.
Yep.
And at the time, I don't know if that vibe with me a lot. Now I really appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah. Did you like when you played Heart Gold Soul Silver? Did you kind of get a little bit more of that then?
A little.
And we're gonna talk more about those games later too, but
a little bit more. But I will say with Gen 2, there's something too about the art style with the colors and stuff, and how it just feels like a little bit washed out and stuff. It's like I feel like I need to play it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has its own very unique, calming vibe.
That makes sense. I have replayed in the last 10 years. I've replayed Red, Yellow, and Silver.
Right.
And the next one I would like to do. Before this, I was talking about how I want to only play new games for a little bit, but I do want to replay Crystal next.
Yes, Crystal's
because
great.
But yeah, no, that makes sense to me, and I think for me, this game more than any other game in the series, besides maybe Black 2 and White 2,
right.
This game feels like a true sequel to what Red and Blue was.
Yeah, for sure.
It is different. It expands on everything, and then of course you go back to Kanto in the end game.
Yeah,
it does feel like a true sequel, and even the Pokemon designs all very different. I feel like it feels like an expansion pack to the original 151. I feel like the first 251 also fit together very well, and then after Gen 3, I can feel like there's a clear divide between the generations with the Pokemon, at least.
I will say too, I feel like looking back, because of how big Gen 1 was, like the actual Gen, not just the main, with Pokemon Samples, Pokemon Puzzle League, all these Pokemon Stadium, all these games, all this content, all this media, it felt like there was a little bit of burnout for me probably going into Gen 2.
Sure, yeah.
I was really excited for it because it was new Pokemon, but once I got into it, I feel like I was a little bit like, okay, I beat Red, then beat Blue, then beat Yellow, then deleted my Red, replayed it again. Like, you played those games so much because it was all you had, that coming into this, it was like, oh my God, here's another full Pokemon game. Holy crap.
Yeah, and like this is like the same time that like Final Fantasy 9 was coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so there's a lot, I know.
A lot of games coming out, and people were kind of getting out of Pokemon. It was fading by this point, I think, pretty significantly, if not gone.
I don't know if it was actually fading, but I think for our generation, we would have been like at the end of elementary school.
Yeah,
it was like some kids would think it wasn't cool to play Pokemon.
Yes.
So I think whereas it was a huge craze that everyone liked, and then certain people turned off and were too cool for it.
And I think
that's part of it.
Yeah, and some of our friends did, like Dylan would have stopped.
Yeah.
Or was in the process of stopping.
And he was older, which makes sense.
So me and Bilo played, but that was kind of it. Like Stuart didn't play.
Yeah.
And we were friends with him. Like we weren't that close with you at that point, not till later in grade 7.
No. We didn't really know each other too well.
Yeah, and like Nick, I don't think Nick played. So it's like a lot of the people we were talking to weren't into this. So I feel like it was...
They all came back though.
They all came back eventually, yeah.
Except Dylan.
Yeah, except Dylan. But great generation. Though.
He's still known for his Abra, his level 100 Abra, though, right?
Yeah, Mr. Ziggy.
So funny. Yeah.
Is that his name? Or was it something else?
I don't
No,
know.
was it Doctor Evil?
Dr. Evil.
Doctor Evil. Dylan was
Mr. Ziggy.
Mr. Ziggy.
What the fuck is that?
His,
That's great.
His nickname was Ziggy.
I could see that.
That was what it was. That was his gamer tag.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ziggy the Zergling.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, 100 new species of Pokemon. This was pretty huge back then.
Yeah.
Just the new Pokemon itself was probably one of the most exciting things for me back then.
True.
You know? The starters are all great.
Yep.
I remember picking Cyndaquil when I played it.
I think I picked Cyndaquil.
But going back, I'm like, no,
Totodile?
I picked Totodile,
Yeah.
even though I didn't. I wish it was Totodile.
I picked Cyndaquil.
Yeah,
but
I like all of them, but Totodile is probably the best in my opinion. So it introduced some new gameplay features, real time day and night system.
right.
It's pretty interesting for Game Boy Color, and it pulled it off really well. Hold items were added, including berries.
Right. That was a big change, honestly.
Yeah, the berries is still a key factor in Pokemon to this day.
It's huge, yeah.
The Pokegear.
Yep.
This is the first generation with shiny Pokemon. Breeding.
Yeah.
First for breeding.
Right.
The splitting of the special stat into special attack and special defense. So in Gen 1, it was just special.
Right.
So if your special was good, that was... I think it didn't affect your defense. Your defense was just your defense. Like physical and special. There was no split for that.
No, I think special was both.
Yeah, special was... Oh, yeah, it was both.
It was special attack
So
and
weird.
special defense. It was so powerful.
It was something like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And the other huge addition, 2 new Pokemon types, Steel type and Dark type.
Right, which is really cool.
Yeah, and for me, the de facto Steel types will always probably be Skarmory and Steelix.
Yeah.
And Umbreon as the Dark.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what I mean, too, with, like, feeling like Gen 1 and Gen 2 are connected.
Yeah.
Just like the Steelix.
Yeah.
Umbreon, you get a new
True,
UV,
true.
that's the Dark type. What are some other... was Hitmontop
Yep.
Gen 2? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just think of that. They kind of expanded on certain Pokemon, baby Pokemon.
Yeah, Pichu.
You know, yeah, Pichu, exactly.
Also,
Meryl. Remember Peekaboo?
Peekaboo.
That was one of the first ones that got leaked.
Yeah.
And people like, Peekaboo.
Yeah, it's
Meryl's
so
great.
cool.
Yeah.
I actually love Meryl. He's one of my favorites.
I love Meryl. Azumarill is like... I like Azumarill
He's so
more because
cool.
he's so good. And now he's Fairy type.
Yeah.
Water and Fairy. So
Yeah.
much better. So much better. That's a good mix.
I'll say we Game Shark the shit out of these games.
As you should.
Rented a Game Shark, get all these shinies and stuff. Oh my god, we did a ton of that.
Yeah.
First game with a female protagonist.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Yeah. Crystal though, not until Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal.
Yep. I have some more notes here, Alex.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I think don't get ahead of me. Chill out. So Satoru Iwata assisted with development by creating a set of compression tools
Okay, I love.
utilized for graphics in game, famously allowing for the Kanto region to be recreated and included in the post game.
Praise Iwata.
You love Iwata,
I
so
love
just tell me a
Iwata
bit
so
about
much,
this.
man.
This is one of his greatest feats, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you want?
I don't know. You just love Iwata. This is your moment.
I do, man.
This is your
I love
moment.
Iwata. He's done this for so many games where they needed help, and he just comes in because he loved programming and he was a game developer, and even though he was like the president of all these I don't know what he was at this point in the year, but even though he was an executive, he loved getting his hands dirty and jumping in, and yeah, this is one of the big ones.
Yeah, like like a whole second region.
Yeah.
shouldn't have been able to fit on a Game Boy Color cartridge.
No,
and
did
he
it.
fucking made it happen, man.
he made it happen.
And like, yeah, of course, the Kanto section, there are some, famously kind of
Lacking areas.
shortcuts that they had to
Yeah.
take. But
But it's there.
for what they did, like, I just think of Viridian Forest.
Yeah.
It's like a little fucking maze.
Yeah.
But still, man, hats off to the guy. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an incredible man.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah.
You've done a lot for Nintendo, a lot for Pokemon, a lot for games, Iwata. So
It's honestly
shout out to Iwata, man.
Yep.
Pokemon Crystal, the enhanced third version, was released later on December 14th, 2000 in Japan.
Right.
And on July 29th, 2001 in North America.
Right.
I remember this being a rare summer release. I remember getting it summer. I was at my dad's that summer in British Columbia. And I remember we went to I think it was a Costco, and we didn't have Costco's here. Did we have Costco's here?
I don't think so.
I don't think we had them here where we live. I remember Costco seeing it there in the case and being like, "You got to get me this." And I had my Game Boy Color with me on vacation, so I remember that summer playing Crystal.
Nice.
Pokemon Crystal was the first game in the series to allow players to choose the sex of their characters, as well as the first to feature animated Pokemon sprites.
Yes.
This was only briefly upon entering battle, so you'd get an encounter, they'd kind of do a little thing, and then they wouldn't move after that.
So cool.
But yeah, so Crystal, huge for this reason.
Yeah.
And funny enough, this feature did not reappear until Pokemon Emerald.
Yeah.
So Ruby and Sapphire, they also didn't have movement animations.
That's funny.
On a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. For Crystal as well, 2 new subplots were added to the game, one involving Suicune and the other involving the Unknown.
Right.
The last major addition was the introduction of the Battle Tower.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing that has remained. What was the good Battle Tower? Was that like Emerald?
Emerald and Platinum?
Yeah.
Too,
I remember those having good Battle
Yeah.
Towers. That brings us to Gen 3. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, and Leaf Green.
Yeah.
This is an interesting generation. I feel like this is a transitional generation in some ways.
Yeah.
This is the first one that I remember we played together. 135 new species of Pokemon were added this time. Pretty hefty amount. New gameplay features include Pokemon abilities.
Big.
Very big. Double battles. Medicham, Lucario. Pokemon contests, which have existed more or less in some form in most games.
Yeah.
Not a big fan, but some people really like that. And of course, secret bases.
Yeah.
This is the height of secret bases. I don't know why they didn't. I feel they should have had secret bases in every game after this.
Yeah,
it was the best. Gen 4 did some of it, but not quite the same. An enhanced third version, Pokemon Emerald, was released on September 16, 2004 in Japan and May 1st, 2005 in North America. I've never actually played Emerald.
I actually haven't either.
Yeah.
Travesty.
Yeah. Apparently it's one of the better ones.
That's what I heard too.
Rayquaza on the front too is sick.
He is sick.
Sold over 23 million copies combined. The best-selling video games on Game Boy Advance. So then we get into the very first remakes. Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah.
Released on January 29, 2004 in Japan and September 9, 2004 in North America.
Right.
Interesting to remake a game. I guess for us it was like 6 years after the original.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
especially after like all the other versions we had, red, blue, green, yellow, and then Fire Red, Leaf Green. I actually didn't play Fire Red and Leaf Green at the time.
I remember you guys kind of had you faded out a little bit.
I think I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't play it.
Yeah.
I went back and played it though. I think probably about 5 years later.
Right.
I remember playing it like my first apartment.
Right.
It was a little bit more than 5 years, but I remember finally going through it like in my early 20s and being like, this is great. But I think it was just too soon or whatever. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't play it at the time.
I remember at that point you guys were kind of like, maybe we're done with Pokemon, but
yeah, I know. I sold most of my Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
And started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And then stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, you guys were different. You kind of faded out. But I will say, Gen 3 as a
lot of
whole,
kids.
a rekindling for me and our group as a whole coming together for Pokemon.
Yep.
So I feel like the world was kind of fading out of Pokemon at this point.
Yeah. Despite still being the best-selling game on Game Boy Advance.
Yes. But in terms of like the mainstream for kids, like on the ground, grassroots, kids didn't give a shit about Pokemon. If you were playing Pokemon, you're a little weird at this point. You know what I mean? Like people weren't super into Pokemon. For our group, we all got into this. Mm-hmm. We battled, we played it, we traded and stuff. I didn't love this for a long time, this gen. And
I didn't
now,
either.
Looking back, I look back very fondly.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm fucking with you, dude. Yep. Hindsight is 2020 for this one.
Yeah, weird, eh?
Well, because it is a weird. Hoenn's a weird region. I will still say there's too much water. There's just too much fucking water.
Yeah.
Some of those surf routes are just like excessive.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Too much water.
too much water. But Pokemon abilities.
Yeah.
My boy Medicham came out in Gen 3. I'm pretty sure. right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Maybe
I'm pretty
wrong.
sure. I'm
Gen
pretty
3
sure.
or 4. I don't know.
No,
which
it's got to be Gen 3. It's got to be Gen 3.
is. And most of the first 2 gens of Pokemon weren't in this game.
No.
So you were with like pretty much all new Pokemon.
Yeah, you could get them post game, right?
Yes, I think you unlocked in the National Dex post game.
Feebas, do you want to like go through that
my
whole
Feebas,
thing?
my whole Feebas thing. Yeah.
What did you do to get Feebas?
So on, I forget the route. Like I don't know. There's a route there to catch Feebas.
One of the water routes.
And he only spawns in 4 tiles, and he has like a, I don't know if it's 10 or 25% chance of showing up. So I had to fish in every single tile on the route 4 times. But what I didn't know was when you mix records, it resets the tiles. So he was my last Pokemon I needed to.
And we were
finish the
mixing
decks,
records a lot.
and we were doing that pretty much on a day, at least weekly basis. So I spent weeks trying to find this goddamn Feebas. I finally did it, and then I gave everybody else in the group Feebas.
You gave everyone Feebas, yeah.
No one else had to do it, but it took me forever. But like this was the first game I think I grinded my whole team up to level 100 by hand. There's no cheats or anything like that. Like I just grinded all up. This was the first gen
crazy, man.
when I made a competitive team in Fire Red. Like you guys were all out, and I started to get into.
Who were you competing against?
No one, but I was playing Net Battle or whatever online.
Yeah. Oh, Net Battle, dude.
Yeah, way back. I was doing the online battles. This is when I really got
Net
into
Battle,
online
Shoddy
shit.
Battle.
Yeah.
And of course now fucking Showdown is the best.
So I was getting into Net Battle, and I was learning about EVs and IVs and all the move sets and strategy and team building. And so I actually made a competitive team in Fire Red, which was my first team. And this was kind of the beginning of our group getting into competitive, me kind of finding this out. Then as you guys got back into it, passing this knowledge on to you, and then you guys diving in and going crazy with it, you and Chris specifically going.
And that's a good lead off into Generation 4.
Yeah.
Gen 4 was the high school one for us. So and it's cool because a lot of kids would have been gotten out of Pokemon hard for high school because they like want to get laid. Some of us still managed to have sex.
That's true.
Even I know it's crazy. So released on September 28, 2006 in Japan, and April 22nd, 2007 in North America. So yeah, a few months before graduation, I remember us sitting in the hallways at lunchtime playing fucking Pokemon with everyone.
Yep.
And it's funny because our group, we weren't like the typical nerdy group. We kind of looked like we fit in, but we didn't.
We had a mishmash.
We had a mishmash for sure.
A weird group, yeah.
Weird fucking group.
Yeah.
107 new species of Pokemon.
Nice.
A lot of these were third evolutions. I know Alex still hasn't forgiven Rhyperior for existing.
My God, let's not even get into Rhyperior.
We don't have to talk about it. New gameplay features include changes to the battle mechanics, namely the physical special status split.
Huge.
To me, this is probably the best thing, like the best core gameplay mechanic they've changed.
I agree.
How do we describe this to people who might not know?
Essentially, they were deemed physical or special based on their type. So like all fire moves were special.
Yeah.
All fighting moves were physical.
Yep.
And there was like a list for each, and it was just weird.
It was so weird.
It was like electric, water, grass, fire. Like those were all special.
Psychic. Yeah.
But then like, what was it? Like
Fighting.
normal,
Fighting.
rock, ground, fighting.
Yeah.
Like those were all physical. And so the stats, even though every Pokemon, like, even if you're a fire type and most of your moves are fire, you could have like, well, Gyarados. Gyarados was trash.
Yeah.
Because he had a crazy high attack stat, but he's water.
He's water.
So he had like no good like water moves out of physical, obviously.
So he's got like Sky Attack or something, which is his only physical thing.
So strange. Yeah. But then this fixed it.
Yeah. No, this was the best thing they ever did.
I agree.
And I think this change was probably a huge factor in our group. Like we were all doing it competitively, at least against each other.
Yeah.
I think this enabled that. So physical, special, and status were now 3 separate categories. So you could have a fire move. What's the example of a fire move? So Fire Blast is still special. Whereas
Flare Blitz
Flare Blitz, good call, would be physical. So you could have you'd be a Rapidash with a high attack stat. Flare Blitz, that's okay.
Yeah.
You have a low special attack. Yeah, you don't use that move. So this was great.
It allowed more like Pokemon to actually be viable.
Yep.
You weren't just like a trash Pokemon because you had like fucked up stats. Now you could like every Pokemon could be used for what that Pokemon is actually tailored for.
And also, some Pokemon will have very high physical defense,
Yes.
but low special defense.
Exactly.
So if you know your stuff, you can kind of exploit those weaknesses even more.
It was a great.
Just adds a whole nother level.
It was a great generation for competitive too because it wasn't. Because what were the total number at this point? Like 400 and something.
So 251 plus 135. So yeah,
like
we're over 400.
380
We're over
something.
4 at this point.
And so it was just enough Pokemon to make it kind of. You could do what you wanted.
Yeah,
and
you had a lot of options.
And you could understand the meta fairly easily. And then as it continued on from there, honestly, for me at least, it became a little bit overwhelming in terms of the number of Pokemon and the
I
number
agree.
of tiers. And here was like, there's OU, there's Ubers, there's UU. And I was like, those
Yeah.
were like the 3. Now there's so many tiers, and it's just like, I don't.
So the enhanced third version, Pokemon Platinum, was released on September 13th, 2008 in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And on March 22nd, 2009, my birthday, in North America. And I never played Pokemon Platinum, so apparently I didn't get this for my birthday.
Me either.
Fuck you, Mom. Just kidding. I love you so much. How could I say that? Shit, so I would have been, that would have been my 20th birthday. Cool. Pokemon Platinum.
You were too cool for Pokemon Platinum that day.
Apparently, but like a year later, I was playing Leaf Green finally. But I never actually played Platinum.
Yeah.
When it came out, did you play Platinum?
I didn't. And I'll say, it wasn't that, we're still, even at this point, we're young adults.
Mm-hmm.
We still don't have a ton of money. And these
Yeah.
games at this point are coming out fairly frequently. So, the other games we're young. We have to get our parents to buy them. They don't want to buy these games. Plus Final Fantasy games, Zelda games,
Yeah.
Mario games, whatever. And then this is like, okay, we only have so much money. That's probably, honestly, I'm sure that's, you
Yeah.
guys are dealing with Pokemon now. That's the problem with Pokemon.
That's probably why I didn't play Emerald.
Yes.
Probably why I didn't play Leaf Green when it first came out.
Yeah.
Even though it's a remake of like one of my favorite games. And that's probably why I didn't play Platinum. Because
Yeah.
it's just like,
We got money for all these games.
Yeah, exactly. Who has money for a game that you essentially have already beaten, more or less,
Yeah.
25 million copies sold. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum.
A lot of people got the money for these games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not us. But
Yeah. Second best selling video game on Nintendo DS.
Impressive.
Yep. I think number 1, might have actually been New Super Mario Bros. Or something.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Don't quote me. Though.
Probably Mario Kart.
Yeah, it could be the Mario Kart. That was
Always
that was the
goddamn
big
Mario Kart, man.
one.
That was a good game, though.
Internal, man.
That was a good game.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's one of the better Mario Karts for sure. So this is what brings this generation up for me.
Yeah.
Enhanced remakes, Heart Gold, Soul Silver,
Yeah.
were released on September 12th, 2009 in Japan, on March 14th, 2010 in North America. So these games took everything I loved from Diamond and Pearl, all the brilliant gameplay additions and tweaks they made, but it sends you back to Johto, which also sends you back to Kanto. If I remember correctly, my playtime in Pearl was like 300 hours. A lot of hours.
Yeah.
My gameplay time in Soul Silver, Alex, was like over 500 hours.
What the Jeremy, how? What did you even do?
I was breeding. You remember me breeding.
I do remember you reading.
I built a team that all had like nearly perfect IVs, like all in like the top 10%.
I remember.
I remember an Umbreon, a Frostlass.
I remember your Frostlass because I remember I was,
That was my
building
starter.
a team and I was building it. You had like
Frostlass was really good in this
she
generation.
was really dangerous, and I remember I got like toxic on my Arcanine or something to deal with Frostlass because you must have had
Yeah.
like Choice Scar or what's the one that
it was
Focus Sash?
it was Destiny Bond, Focus Sash.
Yes, that was it. So I put toxic on it to kill your goddamn Destiny Bond.
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember, Alex, I beat you one time in a Pokemon battle. I was like so proud. This is probably the only time still. But yeah, I got really into breeding. I had a lot of time fucking cycling up. Oh my god. I fucking can't even think about it. This gives me fucking flashbacks. But yeah, I played the shit of this game. Yeah, that summer after high school, like me and Chris would hang out many nights till like 5 in the morning. The birds would come up and we were like, shit, we just EV trained all these Pokemon. Like we were fucking trainers, man. It was great. I remember it fondly for that reason.
See, yeah, and I would say this generation, as you said, it was for the whole group. I would say at different times, everybody spiked back up for different things. And
Yeah.
see, this was your spike immediately after.
Yeah.
Other people's were later, but for this, like the beginning of it, we all had a for Diamond Pearl. I just, as you said, we all had a team, at least one team,
Yeah.
some multiple,
DS Lite.
Yeah,
Black DS Lite, man. I
exactly.
fucking love that thing.
and we'd be there battling, and that was the only time
Yeah.
that happened in Pokemon.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I guess that's true. We were close, like on the same page, more or less.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this leads us into Black and White. Generation 5. Released on September 18th, 2010 in Japan and March 4th, 2011 in North America. Introduces 156 new species of Pokemon, which is a record. That's the most new. So there's more Pokemon from Black and White than there are any other generation.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. It's also terrifying for me because I hate some of these designs still.
Do you?
But I like some of them a lot more than I used to.
Right.
Set in the Unova region, which is based on New York City. So this is important because the four previous generations were based off of different territories within Japan.
Yes.
So this is the first time they kind of tried to branch out to a different kind of setting, and that's a theme they have followed since then.
Yeah.
The seasonal cycle is interesting. They never brought that back.
That's pretty cool.
It really made sense for the North. It's based on New York City, but really it's based on North America.
Yes.
It's the North American game.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be kind of a soft reboot of Pokemon, if I remember correctly. Not. I don't know if that's the right soft reboot, but it kind of felt like it was supposed to be a new era of Pokemon.
And it was in many ways.
Yeah, just with the setting and all that stuff. But the seasonal setting again makes sense for North America. Yeah, especially this part of the world, Canada, very seasonal. We
Yes.
have clear winters, clear springs,
Yes.
clear summer. Well, not always clear springs or falls necessarily.
And even these, I
But-
mean, New York really is just. It's like what?
Not that
A
far from
full
here.
day drive.
It's not that far from here.
Like you could drive there in 24 hours
Yep.
probably.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like this
Yeah,
is
it takes
our
just as long. It
region's-
takes just as long to get to Quebec, like
yeah,
Montreal.
geographically, this is our region's game.
Yeah.
Effectively, which is kind of cool.
I remember you always really liked it for that reason.
I do. Yeah,
You've always been a big fan of Black and White.
I like Gen 5, man. It really, like as you said, it was a new generation. It felt kind of like Gen 3 was, where it's like it's a break.
Yep.
It's like here's a whole new region.
Kind of weird, but
New
holds
Pokemon.
up better given time, I think.
Yeah, and it was still 2D on DS, so it was really pretty. It was clean. The region was really nice. I love the seasons. That's a big thing of mine in just in life. I love the seasonal changes.
Yep.
So that I was really in sync with that. And it was a different time for us as a group too, where we weren't in competitive battling anymore. But later on this gen, I think it was, we started to get into cards,
Yep.
which was a whole nother thing.
That's something
but-
I'm definitely going to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so you said you were kind of burnt out for going to Gold and Silver
Yes.
for different reasons, like because
Yes.
of all the different games.
Yes.
So I mentioned the last two games, I put 800 hours
Yeah.
plus collectively into them.
Fair.
So the thing of Black and White for me is I always liked it for what it was.
Yeah.
But I was fundamentally burnt out by this game, and it wasn't that much different from those previous two games I
Fair.
mentioned. It did a lot of things different, but fundamentally, like the way the graphics looked, the battle system, everything was basically the same. And I had just spent so much time in the other ones that I really wasn't ready to do much more than beat the Elite Four and just like put it away.
Right.
I will say this is out of all of the games on this list, Black and White is the one I most want to replay. The one that I feel like I most need to replay because I think I'm going to like it. And honestly, the rankings that we'll get into at the end, I feel like at least this will go up at least probably one spot. Like if I play it again, because everything's there.
Yeah.
And even in hindsight, a lot of the I will say, I mentioned earlier the Pokemon designs, I think a lot of them are pretty bad. Don't like them. But you got Lucario. No, that's Diamond and Pearl.
That's for Jeremy's like
Fuck.
taking things. He's like, no, literally, there's none I like.
Grinnet? No, that's the next one.
That's next. Samurott, which is
I don't like
my favorite.
Samurott.
I love Samurott.
Yeah, I know. Don't like the starters.
Sawsbuck.
Sawsbuck's okay.
I love Sawsbuck. Such a cool Pokemon.
Zekrom and Kyurem are sweet.
Yeah, the legendaries are
Legendary
amazing.
Reshiram also is all right. The thing is, I have Black. I could technically replay it any day if I want to, but with these old games, you got that one save file.
Yeah.
I can't delete that, man. My memories plus my shinies and shit.
Talk to Bilo.
I'll have to talk to Bilo. No, I have talked to Bilo.
Oh, yeah?
I'm like, Brandon, keep an eye out for Black 2 or
Yeah.
White 2 because it's the one I need to replay. Mentioned Black 2 and White 2. This is the first direct sequel.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
I mentioned that Gen 2 kind of felt like the most direct sequel.
Right.
But really, this is literally a direct sequel.
Which it was, because it took place a couple years after.
Yep. It had a different storyline.
Yes.
It was more. This is not an enhanced remake like the Platinums and the Emeralds and the Crystals and whatnot.
Right.
This is actually a sequel. So a lot of the setting is the same, but again, it is telling a new story.
Yeah, the boys faded out here. The boys faded out, I feel. I wanted to make a competitive team. I was still playing online at this time. It was
I remember
shoddy.
fading. I remember
Yeah.
fading. I remember specifically, you talk about your Tron story with Kingdom Hearts
Oh,
2.
yeah.
I had a similar, like, I remember being on, like, Victory Road and having, like, a flu and being in, like, the waiting room playing my DS, like, at the end game and being like,
yeah.
and that's kind of the feeling that remains with me.
I really like Gen 5. It's very colorful, very bright.
Yep.
Feels very free to me because it was. I feel like in
It
some of the
does.
other gens, I don't know. It just they bogged me down, and I remember playing this one and feeling like, no, this is like a whole new experience, all new Pokemon. I don't know what to expect.
Remember, you always were a big proponent of this game, and
Yeah.
that's why I have to fully acknowledge, like, I think I will like this game way more. It's just the
Right.
timing wasn't quite right for me. But yeah, so you mentioned earlier the black and white cards.
Yeah.
This is kind of the thing I think more of black and white.
Yeah,
I remember the cards.
Yeah.
'Cause we went deep.
we went. Yeah, we played.
I
we
went
got hard.
extremely deep.
Yeah.
I have a lot of black and white cards still to this day.
Same.
For the card game, this was actually the start of a new era as well.
Yeah.
All of these cards and onward
Are still modern type
still
stuff, right?
can still be used in the like the legacy formats. Everything before that, no. Yeah, because they introduced X Pokemon.
Yep.
All sorts of things. We're gonna do an episode on card games soon, so don't worry. But
We played a lot of this.
Played a lot of
Specifically,
Black-
You, me, and
Yep.
Stuart
yep,
all played a lot of this, and
I had a Ray Eels deck. Love it
Yep.
very much.
me too.
I had an Empoleon deck, which
you
was dope. That was kind of my spice deck.
Yeah.
Had a Keldeo Blastoise deck at one point as well.
Right.
So a lot of my memories of black and white are from the card game.
Yeah.
Fucking electric.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking Pokemon, but with the great
Right.
best fucking card.
Yeah. I love my electric deck. I had a Raikou,
Yeah, Raikou.
Mewtwo,
Zekrom X was fantastic as well.
Zekrom,
Yep.
Rayquaza, Eel deck, and then a Darkrai Sableye deck. Those are my two decks.
Dark Ride deck.
And that was before Pokemon Catcher was changed, so it was a coin flip.
Yeah.
It just did it.
Is
at that
Dark Ride
point.
Gen 5?
He was Gen 4.
He's Gen 4 too,
Yeah.
yeah. Fuck. Giratina's Gen 4.
You're
Fuck, man.